All right. Let's go. Jump in, guys, jump in. All right. All right. Start in about a couple minutes. Welcome on, guys. I'm going to start in a minute. Okay. We're starting out. Welcome, everyone. Waiting a bit more. Okay, let me grab some water. Okay. All right. So without taking too long, let's get started now. All right, guys. So welcome to another live analysis session. Welcome to the last day of June. All right. So we've just had some news come out. So let's have a look at from a technical standpoint at the moment. There are a couple of things that are taking place from our technical standpoint. All right, I'm going to switch the screen over to the news first so we can have a look at what's going on there, and then I will come back to the charts. All right, now the markets has still been dry for quite a while now. We just have to hold it down, guys, because it ain't fun. I know we hardly have had any trades in the last week and a half, and it's just been the time of just basically analyzing every day. Now, even though I like to analyze, I also like to make money. So now that I'm back in the markets, I really do want to make sure that we're making some money. Now, there's nothing wrong with times where the market's not doing as much as we want. It doesn't take away from the fact that there will be great trades. I always, as you saw with the account, how I did what I did, and I'm still going to continue to take it to the 10K challenge over time and complete that challenge so we can do another one. All we need to do really is just wait for the right opportunity. If we get one trade right, then the rest is history, okay? Just like pound CHF and all of the other trades that I've given before, we just got to kind of keep our wits about us. Now, the GMT's timing is wrong, so I've got to set this automatically, because for us, this should be 135 or 36 right now. So welcome everybody listening, all right? We've had the ADP news come out, and we've had a positive change in the ADP employment. So let's let this refresh itself so that it can give us the better price feed. But we already seen there that we have a better figure, better than expected. Now, the ADP, okay, we're waiting for it to load up, but in the meantime, excuse me, there's works going on in my house. So if you do hear any sawing and drilling, I do apologize. But either way, the ADP employment change, I'm going to click on it to show you what it is. All right, so the previous one we had was 886. Okay, the consensus is 600, and we've had a value of 692. Now, before I move forward for you to understand what the reading represents, let's just go through the ADP itself. So I'm going to click on it here for you guys to see quickly. All right, let this load up. Now, I'm going to increase the RAM definitely because things have been moving slower. So ADP non-farm payrolls. So here we go. I'm going to scroll down here. So America's largest payroll providers, okay, reports the harbinger of the Bureau of Labor Statistics release on non-farm payrolls, okay, 2 days later, which comes out 2 days later. Because of the correlation between the two, the overlaying of both series is quite high, but on individual months, the discrepancy can be quite substantial, okay? So I'm not going to go any further than that. I just want you guys to understand what the ADP is. So the ADP, they're the largest payrolls provider, so they provide information about payrolls. Now, if the ADP, now if you think of it this way, the same way I talk about, for example, if Germany usually has high impact on news for most of its most important results, because if Germany's results are very good, then generally the European economy will have a boost, because Germany is the largest contributor to the European Union. So the ADP, in the same kind of sense, is similar in the sense that the ADP are the largest payroll providers. So therefore, if their results are good, then most likely the non-farm payrolls will be good, but it doesn't necessarily mean the fact, because there's different extenuating factors that could, change that scenario. So now that we've seen this positive result, now it's not better than the previous. The previous was 886. We're at 600K at the moment. All right, as the consensus, and we have 692 now. When the value is better than the consensus, then that's bullish for the dollar. Now, if the value was better than the previous also, then the dollar is going to go absolutely crazy. So from this already, we really can see from Wednesday going kind of what most likely NFPs are going to be reading like. It looks as though we're going to have a positive result. Not the most out there crazy result, but better than the consensus. All right. So seeing that, it seems like we have some more US dollar strengthening going on. Some the US dollar will increase to, in strength, which kind of lines up with our technical analysis. Again, we at one point or another the gaps will be filled, but we do need the US dollar to keep increasing in strength short term anyway. All right. So if I pull this back up here, I'm back on the charts now. So being back on the charts here, the price is still moving short. We haven't had any sort of return. Maybe the NFPs might provide a re-entry. So don't be surprised. I don't trade Fridays hardly ever, unless there's something important. I always say I don't trade a Friday, or I don't consider Friday for trading really. I try to end my trading on Thursday evening, unless it's cryptocurrency. Uh, but when it comes to Forex, I don't really trade on Friday unless there is a really good trade entry, a really good technical trade, or if there's some sort of news to accompany the price. And because we have the non-farm payrolls on Friday, that would be a very good shout for us to go for something of that sort. So I'm looking at Euro USD. The price has done what we wanted. I told you, now seeing this, you can see and understand the price from a better picture. So if I take this all off, just to recap on what we had here. So price action is very specific always, guys, no matter how much we try to avoid some of the most important things. Price action, supply and demand, how the price behaves near supply and demand zones are even more deeply important. So again, just to recap quickly, the price when it returned here, we didn't have a return into this zone. So when the price found its footing in here, this demand zone was no longer able to carry demand further. So we had a break beneath and we had a return. Now I told you, because there's a double bottom here, many of you who trade retail trader patterns of double bottoms, double tops, and etc. probably would have went long here and you would have had great success, but then would have been confused as to why the price kind of stopped halfway in the middle. Okay, and you can see that now the price is returning quite fast. And as I said, our targets for the short is down here. Now, sadly, the price stopped us out and then did another movement to give us the short, which is quite annoying. So we're going to have to capture this trade on the way. And my suggestion would be here, would be a good place to go for. So we will, hopefully we can capture this trade and capture what's left of it down to around about here. Now here, when the price gets into this area, now we have a lot more solidity in demand. We have a lot more liquidity for demand, so we can actually look for the long. A long will come out soon, guys, because this gap that was left from the news that came out from the FOMC, which is right up here. I'll go to the M30 so we can see it. Or maybe the H1. Okay, you can't really see it on here, but the gap is somewhere around about here. Okay, that needs to be filled. But for now, the market is still in the, well, for Euro USD and for the dollar itself is still gaining strength as we move forward. Okay, so this is why I would say to you that don't just trade what you see and trade trading patterns. Think a bit more deeply than that. Now, looking at the price action here, we just need an entry here. So we'll be looking at entries in a moment. Matthew will be doing the analysis from 2 p.m. My junior coach, so he can take over and do the rest of the analysis. But for now, continuing forward, let's have a look at what we have going on now. Since we have US dollar news and we also have pound news, then our targets will be around those regions. I will look at other pairs, but I'm going to stick to the majors for now. Let's have a look at USD CHF. So again, USD CHF, I'm gutted it didn't come back. to this demand zone at least, but now it's done quite a few pips and now it's on its way higher. As I said to you, when I looked at the price action again, at first it looked like we should have a short, but then reanalyzing the price action, Euro USD, and this is a good proof of it. Euro USD and USD CHF have an inverse correlation, which means when Euro USD is going short, USD CHF should be going long. And the fact that we saw that Euro USD still has about 800 pips to go on the short side, I wasn't convinced that Euro USD is going to do something different. Now, there are times, and this depends on the Swiss franc, if USD CHF and Euro USD go the same direction. But to be really honest with you, that's quite rare. And so saying that, I'm expecting actually USD CHF to do some more pips and get to some higher highs, all right, before we get the short. Now, again, there is a gap, and I told you that when the time comes for the short, it's going to be a very simple short to take. It's very clear what the price will do. We need a gap to be filled, and we need to come back for this liquidity pool. So we have at least over 300 pips to take on the short, which when the time comes for that, we will be ready for it. But for now, we're just holding off and allowing the price to do what it needs to do. Now, if you want to capture a continuation on this trend, you can do, because the price has been kind of steeply bullish. I'm hoping that maybe the NFPs might shock everyone and spike the price back down before it takes off again. That would be great. But we just have to keep our eyes out. So this is why I am not reacting and waiting to see how the price behaves in these last 3 days. Now, for me, I really like to step full-fledged into the market from Wednesday, because I've noticed that Wednesday is when most of the reversals, most of the crux of the market, the liquidity starts to really pour in. Monday is not really a great day for me personally. I prefer to use Mondays to observe, but this is what we have moving forward. So let's see how the price moves forward. All right. Let me go to AUD USD now. So AUD USD didn't come back. It's done a short from the markings and not come back. So I expect it to come back, but to continue going short. Again, AUD USD has very far targets all the way back down now. It's already gone past the first two areas. So the only route, the main target down here, according to what the price action is suggesting, is about 300 pips down. Now, the Australian dollar is having its own issues with its own weaknesses in certain areas. I just wish that the price did pull back, but we didn't get a pullback yet again, which is one thing that I hate. But sadly, there were other entries, but I think because we missed this, my mind wasn't thinking about the other entries. But this was the second entry here. It was into this 30-minute supply zone during the nighttime for us in the UK, however, but this was the entry here. So our entry should have been here, and our stop loss above here or above this wick, and then we could have caught the rest. But sadly, we missed that. Now, there is one more opportunity though. If the price gets back into this gray area, which is the initial supply zone that was flipped, if we get reoptimization there, then I'll be looking for a short. So I'm watching to see what happens, but I'll leave Matty to do the entries after I've finished with this. So USD CAD now. So when the ADP news came out, we've seen that strangely USD CAD has gone short for a little bit right now. Now USD CAD has great potential for a lot larger movements. From the H4 action that we had on the price, which I've spoken about already, I wasn't inclined to go for a long yet. I was eyeing up the long, but the price returned to equilibrium based on this bullish range here. When the price broke a bit higher and returned here, this was actually the real entry that we needed. Now, it happened on Friday, and I wasn't even aware of it. It happened at 3:30. Stop loss should have been beneath here, and you can see we already have 150 pips. I am gutted that I did miss this, I'll be honest. I am, but there was always going to be more trades. All right. Pound USD. So pound USD, all right. I'm watching it very carefully. Now, I did call a short. I did call a long based on the area of here, what the price was doing here. Now, we have had market structure break. Okay, so we've had market structure break of at least this bullish trend. I did say, though, that I would have been more comfortable if the price had closed above this high right here, because that would have been a better sign. However, this swing high here, which was the last, bullish, very strong bearish swing, we have had much closes above it. However, my worry with this is that the supply zone on the H4 here, the price has stayed in here quite strongly, and this is a special type of supply zone that the price has been working with, and I can see the resulting short. Now, I was expecting a long from here, and we have had a reaction. If I use the H1 version of that zone here, here's the H1. The price just about dipped into this area and returned, But then this level right here, this algorithmic level, is what I'm watching to see if I will take this trade. Okay, now if you took the pending order, then you would have just about, the price would have missed your pending order. I am going to give a shout. I've been watching it to see, but I think I'm going to give a shout. If it didn't reach your pending order, or it triggered just at the edge here, you would have had some profit. But I'm watching this on the D1. I'm watching this algorithmic area right here. And I want to see how the price behaves. The key here for us to work out what we're going to do as a trade now, because I'm seeing Euro USD go short, AUD USD go short, USD CAD go long, USD CHF go long. Even though the pound has its own fundamentals, I have the fear that maybe the price actually may follow through with the US dollar fundamentals and override the pound fundamentals. This is the question that's in my head. And the key to answer this question will be at this price point, 1.38697. If the body of the candle does close above here, so if we get this kind of movement here with a H1 body close, we need to use the same time frame. Then I'll be inclined to say, okay, let's go for a buy. And our stop loss will be very simple. It will be beneath this area. It's only about, it's less than 10 pips. So it's not so difficult to get into, not too much of an ask at all. And then from here, then I expect the price to start to rally on the long side. Now, this does really, again, it does really depend. But what worries me is that the reaction we've had here when the price returned to this algorithmic level to validate the long or a short has become so strong on the short side. In just 1 hour, we've had 31 pips. And so the price has actually closed beneath 1, 2, and is almost at the third candle's opening price. So this is making me think that the price actually may go short and we may see pound USD drop further. So I'm reconsidering now. I know there's a gap here again to be filled, same as Euro USD and the rest, and it will be. But I'm watching the price action and it looks like we have a more US dollar dominated market at the moment. And so we should be looking for lower areas of possibly of a short. So looking at this, the full, stretch plan of how the price looks right here, I do see that there are lows around about here that, although we have manipulative action here, I still see that there are areas where the price could actually reach lower to take some lows and possibly even reach down to about here, potentially. So I'm actually changing my bias slightly. So for students, if you're listening to this, or for anybody who wants to follow along, I would say just for safety for now, delete the pending order you have because it hasn't triggered yet. It shouldn't have. All right. And just watch to see this, observe this H1 area. This is really the crux of everything. How the price behaves at this algorithmic level will tell us everything we need to know about the price moving forward. Now, I did want to take the short halfway. Again, the price came up around about 3:30 with an entry, but I was not behind the charts. I was in a meeting for another aspect of company work to do. Now, when the price pushed back short and the price pulled back here, this was our entry, and we could have took some really good money and closed out here. So our take profit could have been an entry, which would have been a great trade for the week. So I'm really considering this very, very carefully. Again, because we have the news that's coming out from non-farm payrolls, the ADP is kind of giving us a good picture that most likely the news will be positive, which means we should see more US dollar strengthening. Now, because there isn't really matching pound news, now I know Governor Bailey is speaking, I believe, at 9 in the evening or something like that, tomorrow or tonight. I'm not too sure. I think it's tomorrow. I don't know if that speech will move the market. Oh, no, it's 9 in the morning, not 9 in the evening. If that speech does have any effect, we will see on the chart. But to be honest with you, I'm still short on pound USD. I think the market structure, I'm not satisfied with it. And I think I've been trying to fight it because I really wanted to see this long. But I don't think the rest of the US dollar pairs are ready for that kind of reversal. We're going to need some more action from the market to really give us what we need. So I'm looking more for a short, and this may actually just be the entry for a short right now. And I'll leave Matty to do the specifics, and I'll be posting as I go along. Trust me, I'm watching the charts a lot more. But if I don't see anything, guys, I can't give you what's not there. Okay. You don't want to go and chase the market. So let me go to NZD also. So NZD from my arrow markings, we have no returns on any of these daily areas. And it looks like though the price has done a very similar price action to what AUD has done. And we should be on our way for the short. So our first target really, again, hasn't changed. It's still here. Second target will be at this red line. So we're looking at about another 240 pips at least. And if the price does more, then we have a greater opportunity to see more profitability before the long happens. Again, there's a lot of imbalanced price action here that sooner or later we'll want to see the price pushing back up here before we go for a short. Okay, so this is NZD USD. I'm going to put them together. We have Euro USD, NZD USD, AUD USD now, USD CHF. Now, again, I'm still not going to rush for a continuation only because this NFP news, I don't know if the price is going to spike first before the continuation, but the price will become more obvious Thursday and Friday morning for sure. Okay, but again, don't try to enter 1 minute before the news because the spread increases by brokers, which could stop you out. I always talk about the story when I was trading with Alexandra and a few other friends of ours, and I think I had like £100 in my account, and I wanted to trade the Canadian news 1 minute before because in that, the market has changed over time. If you've been trading for long enough on Forex, you notice that the algorithms kind of shifted. In 2018, 2017 trading, it was a lot easier to trade. There wasn't as much manipulative movement, and the news was quite straightforward. You could actually trade the news quite well. Okay. And in 2019 also, as soon as we stepped into 2020 January, there was a shift in the market straight away, which I believe coincides with the coronavirus. The algorithm really ramped up its level of manipulation and how the price behaves. So I would say definitely we should keep our during that time I was playing on the fact that I was making a lot of money from the news, entering 1 minute before, 5 minutes before, 30 minutes before, and I think my first real historic movement, I think I made 116% in 3 minutes on an account. I was trading AUD NZD, which is a pair funny enough I don't even like anymore, but the market has changed quite a bit, so I'm always trying to be accommodate for that. So we're going to watch out. Slow and steady will win the race for sure. And once we get a good opportunity, we can go from there. So I'm watching now USD CHF, and I also watching UK 100 because it has returned to an entry point for a long here. Now UK 100, this is a algorithmic level I've been watching for so long, and the price actually returned here this morning and is launched off. We have demand to support it on the 30-minute. So if the price gives us some sort of entry on the way, I'll be inclined to want to take it. When I watch the price action up here, I think that UK 100 could give us a good long movement, and we're still bullish on it because we have UK 100, looking from the D1 structure, is one of the only indexes that has not even filled this gap that was created from the coronavirus panic. Okay, so for that reason, I'm still inclined to want to take a long, and the price is still, the bullish trend is quite steep, not the steepest of trends, but the candles are getting smaller as it's approaching this area. So I mean, probably the price is reloading for demand liquidity before it goes long. We'll see, but definitely I would say one of the major barriers that we've crossed now, which I've been watching since 2020, was here. So this was a major barrier to say that we've gone past, I would say, coronavirus level of price action in terms of panic and stuff like that. I think the price was stabilizing. Once we broke above here and returned here, and this supply zone was no longer respected, then we could see that the price now has kind of launched from here and continued going. So we're in the recovery phase on the price right here. So I'm hoping to see a good entry here. It looks like we've had one. I want to see a little bit more from the price action, if I'll be honest. But from the D1 perspective here, we've had good enough price action around this region here to say we can go for a long. We still have the A, B, C, D pattern. So I'll be looking into this trade for us to go for a long, all right? The entry specifics, when they come along, I'll post it. But for now, I'm just going to observe this price action here. All right, what have we got left before I hand it over to you, Matt? Yeah, so I'll give you the update on the rest of the trade, the other trade that I was looking at. All right, let's pull it up here. So NZDJPY was the other trade that I spoke about, and that'll be it for the day. All right, NZDJPY, here we go. All right, so NZDJPY, from the D1 perspective, all right, I saw this price action here, which I really liked a lot, right around about here. And this price action was within a D1 supply zone. Now, I know that the New Zealand dollar has faced some issues in different fundamental areas. But however, when I watched the price action, we've had some really good movement along these areas here and also here too. Now, when I saw this trade where it was right here, I was looking for the short. it had all of the features I was looking for. I actually thought the price was going to return one more time, and now I think I need to get my mind in believing that the market is going to be so kind. I need to trade as if the market is absolutely evil for retail traders, which it is. Now there was this zone that I identified here, which was a very good zone of, for us to switch the momentum from long to short. Now I expected the price to return here, didn't. And I actually respected the price. I was watching for two things: either the price returning back to this area of supply. Now it's a bit difficult to see the supply area from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these candles together, including the wick, just to explain. So this area is really where the crux of supply is, and this is where we had the return around about 8 in the morning. Okay, so just after Japan closed, so, and also New Zealand closed, so we had enough room for the price to do what it needs to do. So we had this good short here that's happened so far, and it hasn't stopped. Now I'm very upset that the price took. It was such a simple trade from Monday. If you just put a stop loss above here of 4 or 5 pips, then 5 pips for, let's just call it 100 pips right here. That's 1 to 20 risk to reward, which is absolutely amazing. Now I believe this is set to continue, and I'll be watching for more entries as time goes on. For now, the price has got to quite a heavy area of demand, and so that's why we've seen the slowdown on the price. So this is the final update, guys. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed it on the live. Okay, and I'll catch you guys soon. All right. So I'll switch over. I'll hand over to you, Matt, and you can take over.
All right, guys. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Beautiful. It's always a pleasure